My name is Fluellen. I am a keyboard player, and I'm one of the founding members of the Motown recording group Switch. You'll probably remember us from our hits such as They'll Never Be, I Call Your Name. We also featured the DeBarge brothers, Bobby and Tommy, who were the older brothers of the rest of the family, the older brothers of DeBarge. Philip Ingram, my brother from another mother, we're both from Akron, Ohio. We both started when we were like in our teens, and we've grown through the music industry ever since. Gregory Williams, who was the leader of the band, this whole Switch idea was pretty much his idea, and we all helped him, bring that idea to fruition. Jody Sims, our drummer.
What is your role with the Funk Center?
To help promote David Webb and the idea of the Funk Center. When we first met in Cincinnati, I thought when he first came and told me about it, I love the idea, being from funk backgrounds. I always talk about it like as far as the music of our generation. I truly believe the music of our generation, except from the classics, of course, and this and that and the other, but the music from our generation, I think, is by far like the best. There was, they talk about like, doing things outside the box. With us, there was no box. We just went for it and did it. And I think the music of our generation, I think, is by far the best.
What, in your opinion, distinguishes funk music from all the other genres?
It's funny. I put that, and we'll talk about, get more in depth into that later. But I put that on a Facebook page, and I asked a lot of my Facebook friends, exactly what is funk, and I mean the different answers that I came up with. And I think pretty much the answer that everybody came with was funk. That's all they said. What is funk? What is funky? Funk is funk. And I love the answer. And that was pretty much everybody. That's what they mostly said.
So how will you use your position to help the Funk Center achieve its goals?
Mostly through appearances. Through interviews, wherever I can. Mm-hmm. I truly believe in the idea. I truly believe in the museum. I think David is doing a great job as far as getting the idea out there. That this idea is out there in the first place, I thought was genius. That somebody actually thought that much of that genre, of the funk genre, that it should be promoted, that it should not die, I thought was a genius idea, and that's why I'm totally behind it. And anything I can do to help, I'm with it.
So give me a little history, like I don't know, on the Dayton funk sound, or what we call the triangle of funk, and the groups that came from here.
Man, let's start with the Ohio Players. Where do we go from there?
Yes.
Where do we go from there? Let's start with them. They were, of course, a big influence of mine. Playing trombone was a second instrument for me. I started on classical piano. And of course, back then that was like the Day of the Horn sound and all that stuff. And the Ohio Players, I mean, the way they incorporated the horns and all that stuff and what they did, I love that.
So why hasn't this been celebrated through the years, or some time ago? And why has it taken so long, in your opinion, for the genre to be recognized?
In this way, I think because we were waiting on David. We were waiting on a person like David to bring this thing up. I think in our culture, I think for the most part, it's been there. We've managed to keep it up in our music, in movies, in any way that it could be kept up. Especially, again, back in our day, it was played, and in our writing, we brought it out in our writing. I mean, even as far as Switch, I mean, we did the ballads and all that stuff, but we managed to keep the funk there. We managed to keep it like inside the ballad. But the way music is changing, as everything is. but we cannot let that die, because that was an important part of the songs that were written back then. Funk was a very important part, so we can't let that die. And if any way that we can keep that alive, please, like I said, I'm totally with that.
The sound was defining at the time, and it's still used today, because they're still sampling a lot of the sound. But just like no one knew that the Wright brothers came from Dayton, how are people going to know about funk music actually originating in this little tiny town?
You just mentioned something really interesting as far as sampling. Okay, we're talking about like today's technology and all that stuff that's helped you use in making music. The difference between that, and it's all good, you know, technology is a great thing, but that was part of the funk too, in actually playing it, you know, because there was a feeling involved, there was a technique involved as far as playing it. We had to learn our craft, we had to learn how to play. And a lot of funk came from the feeling, it came from here. It didn't come from a machine. And again, I'm not taking anything away from technology, but it was more than just pressing a button. You had to learn your craft. You had to learn how to play the piano. You had to learn how to play drums. You had to learn how to play bass. When James called it, he didn't hit any buttons or whatever. You had to play. You had to know how to play. And again, that is involved in your playing. I mean, you had to play. And again, I think that's where a lot of the funk feeling, or funk period came from, knowing how to play.
Yes.
That's the thing that I also like as far as the idea, as far as the funk center idea, as far as teaching that, you know. And I hope, you know, that there's anything I can do as far as like teaching that, because that's one of the things that I truly believe in, is helping people learn how to play. You know, I'm a keyboardist, I'm a teacher, and I want to teach people how to play. You know, I think it's a travesty that they're taking the arts out of the schools in some places. I think it's a tragedy that they're taking it out. We can't let that happen. And again, funk is another genre that we can't let die. We just can't.
Well, you had said that, for instance, you know, we are going to have a actual training of instruments as part of the funk center in the educational piece, right? So we're figuring we'll do like the juniors and the, you know, primary in the beginning, but we're going to rely on masters such as yourself to come in and also provide instruction. That's something that you obviously would do for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything I can do to that end, absolutely. I've always said, as far as, you know, that would be my personal cause, is making sure that music doesn't die and the actual training of music doesn't die. You know, we need teachers, we need musicians. Nothing against singers. We have like all kinds of shows that are dedicated to vocalists and all that, you know, on TV. Nothing against that. You know, we need that. But where's the musician? The vocalist is going to need a musician behind them. You know, and in this center, anything I can do to that end, as far as my life, anything I can do to that end, I'm willing to do.
What kind of experience would you personally like to see them come away with?
What kind of experience? That's a good question. First of all, the love of it. Do it because you want to do it. Do it because you have a passion for it. Don't do it because, you know, somebody else is telling you, you know, hey, I want you to learn how to do this. I want you to learn how to do that. Do it because you love it. Music is here. It's here. It's not like somebody commanding you to do it. It's here, and it's got to come from here. When I teach, I want my students to walk away with that love for it. And there's anything I can do, and all my students will tell you that I'm such a clown. I'm crazy when I teach, because I want to make it fun. Music is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be work. You know, it's supposed to be fun. And in this day where we're talking about how, you know, you have to enjoy what you do, you know, enjoy what you do. And we've got like all kinds of books and all kinds of self-help things and all that stuff to that end. Where back then, we did it because we loved it, and we didn't have anybody like, you know, there were no books to say, you know, hey, you have to love it for this reason, or, you know, this is how you love it. It came from here. It came from here. Everybody that I've played with over the years, you can see the passion in that. You can see the passion in when they do it. And that's one of the experiences. I think that more important than anything, I want them to walk away with the love for their instrument, the love for music.
Give your fondest memory surrounding your personal funk experience. So depending on your answers, there could be other questions that we will ask on the fly.
Okay. My fondest memory of my funk experience, it has to go to records, okay? back in the day, I was just learning how to play piano. But again, there were all these pioneers, funk pioneers that were coming up. My fondest is Sly and the Family Stone. Love them to this day, to this day. And I had the Stand album, and I played the grooves off that record. And to this day, I call that album the greatest hits album that never was a greatest hits album. It had everything on that album, everything. And like I said, I play that album. If I hear it on the radio, everything else stops. I got to hear that, to this day. And that is, I'll say that was probably like my introduction.
In your opinion, why does the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center belong in Dayton, Ohio?
Because that's where it started. It started here. And again, time won't allow me to go through the list, but I mean, a lot of the funk pioneers, it was here. It started here. Just like Cleveland became, the center for rock and roll because the DJ was there in Cleveland. I forgot his name. Alan Freed, he was there in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. So funk started here. Why shouldn't the museum be here? And that's where it's going to be, right here.
Well, I agree with you.
I know.
It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine.
Can't wait to get you back.
I can't wait to get
you back.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.